Hey, Mark here. I just want to give you a quick heads up about this episode of The Villainess. We had some technical difficulties while recording, and the conversation is a lot of fun. We love this film, The Villainess, and we totally recommend that you go watch it. It's on Hulu right now, but just know we had a few issues, so that the audio is not up to the normal MFF standards, movie films and flick standards, but just know that the conversation's a lot of fun. The audio isn't that bad. It's not terrible. It's just not up to our normal standards. But if anything, we just think you'll enjoy this episode about the Villainess, and just go watch it. We love the movie. It's really good. Go check it out. All right, enjoy the episode. Welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who grew up trained as an assassin, and then got double-crossed, and then got trained as an assassin again. Twice assassined. It's Kiyon.
What up, what up, what up? That was me doing like martial arts moves, taking people out as you were introducing me.
So I was watching you in the Skype video here, and those moves you pulled off, I could see about 17 henchmen getting wiped out.
That's what I do, you know. I'm just get the job done quick and efficiently.
All right, so I just want to say when we're starting this off, when you and I were when we did our Blade 2 episode, that was about 2 hours long too. That was an epic episode. I love that one. You brought up this movie called The Villainess, and I had never heard of it. I looked it up. I was like, I need to watch this movie. But then, like James Gunn released his list of action movies you need to watch. I learned then this was included. Then I learned that in John Wick 3. They paid like homage to this film with the motorcycle scene. So this is an action film that is really admired amongst cinephiles who love action films. This isn't kind of mainstream yet, released in 2017, but people love this movie.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those movies that if you're a fan of action, it checks all those boxes off you look for when you watch an action movie. You know, you have the revenge, you got a little bit of that love story, you got the double crossing, you know, you got all these elements, and then just some badass action sequences that, hands down, to me, even with the newer stuff that's been coming out, is some of the best stunt work that I've seen in a film in a while. So it's definitely a must-see for everybody.
And I would agree, and I think that a big reason why was Jung Byung-gil, he was a former stuntman when he made this. So he made that movie like Action Boys in Korea, and I feel like so this movie only has a $5 million budget. And I think he called in every single favor that he had from the stuntman community, right? Because
definitely.
What he's able to do. So the opening action scene, actually, let's do this real quick. The Villainess, it's about a woman who when she's younger, you have Kim Ok-vin is playing the lead role, and there's two kids, Suki and then Chae-yeon-soo. They, like, when she's younger, her father's murdered. She goes under the tutelage of this man. He trains her to become a killer. They get married. He double crosses her. Then she goes to an elite shadow agency where she learns how to kill people and become an actor. And then she goes into the world to be like a splinter agent. She has a handler that she kind of falls in love with. But then her husband, who she thought was dead, comes back into the picture. And all hell breaks loose. How's that sound?
Pretty much. That was a perfect synopsis right there.
And before we even learn any of this, man, the first action scene, she kills 58 people.
Yes. And by far, probably the best use of a first-person perspective for an action scene that in my opinion, other movies have tried it with the Doom was the first movie I think that really like tried to bring that kind of first-person video game kind of feel to the cinema. But then you had Hardcore Harry that like took it to the next level and made the whole movie first person. But the thing that I think sets Villainous apart from those other movies, and not to say that Hardcore Harry was horrible, it just...
Hardcore Henry or Harry?
Was it Henry? Or
yeah, Henry.
Hardcore Henry?
Yeah, Harry's the prequel.
Oh, all right. So I feel like in that movie, it was just like too much like a video game and less like a movie.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, and it got oppressive. I couldn't finish it.
Yeah. It was a bit much, but I can appreciate what they did and what they were trying to do. But with Villainous, the way they paced the scenes where she's going from like floor to floor and she's taking out everybody definitely was a little reminiscent of the Raid, kind of
Oh,
that
yeah.
whole concept of like every floor or every kind of level is about it's just a free for all brawl. But it was done so well and stylized so well, and the fact that you can hear her like panting and breathing, you can hear the adrenaline in her as she's going through these rooms, and then when she gets to that final room with the gym and all those dudes, big dudes are in there, and they're just like, yeah, it's about to go down. She's
Yeah.
like, all right, bring it. It's like, bring it. What you got? And then she just takes everybody out. It's such a great scene. Such a great way to open a movie to kind of set the tone for you too. You know what you're about to get into.
I love the different groups she fights through too. So she first beats up the guys in members only jackets. That's the best way I can describe them. Then she takes out the lab coat guys with the face masks.
Yeah.
Then she fights kind of like she fights the scientists in the like white outfits. Then she fights the face mask crew, and then she moves into the MMA guys.
And then wait, wasn't there the that hallway scene, which was kind of like a spin on the Old Boy? I feel like scene
for sure.
where it was definitely an homage. You could definitely tell it was an homage to that scene from Old Boy because you had the suit guys coming from both directions, and she's just running through all of them dudes, and you see her go back and forth between. So it was definitely a dope representation of what you're going to get in this movie and what you can expect from that movie.
And I gotta tell you, when I first watched, this first action scene was very disorienting to me. It really was. I didn't know if I liked it. I appreciated it, and you watch the movie, you enjoy it, you really appreciate the vibe that they're going for. But this movie gets better for me after doing the research and learning about the $5 million budget, or the equivalent, €5 million, $5 million budget based on what Korean won, but the exchange rate's still not that bad, so it's still a low budget film. And you get also the more you watch it, the more in tune you are with the action. The more the shots make sense, because when you're first watching it, you get a bit of a willy-nilly vibe. But then
it's a little jarring.
Yeah.
It's a little jarring.
And then you watch it again, and it's not like that. You are able to follow the action. And I remember you and I talked about this prior to it, and I was kind of worried about that hallway fight where guys were backing off from her. They weren't attacking her. Very strategic movie-esque. But you watch it for a third time, and you kind of see why they're backing off. Now, obviously they do because it's a movie, but it just gets better the more you watch it. I really dig... And it's a 2-hour movie, but I guess on repeat, it just goes by so much quicker. And I got something really funny to tell you. The director, when he was asked why he cast Kim Ok-vin or Ok-vin Kim, he said something really random, and I want to see. He's like, I felt like her face had the aura fit for a villainess.
Oh, wow. Wow.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, you know what? But that makes sense because, like, when you watch her, right? There's moments where she has this just stone cold gaze, kind of like when she's about to do her thing, and I get it. Her face, like, she has that kind of very pointed chin, if that makes sense. And I don't know, because when you like think anime, kind of that's the thing that was popping in my head, like anime, kind of that facial structure, and then her like laser focus on just she's going to take everybody out. She's going to do this job and she's going to do it damn well. So yeah, that's funny. It makes sense.
And one thing I like too is this movie is bookended, spoilers, with her having incredibly bloody smiles after murdering a ton of people. But also her performance too. I think there's melodrama in the middle of this movie, but she's able to sort of pull off the melodrama and then the blood smile with blood on the teeth. And I like that. And I'm kind of happy that they didn't try to make her like Arnold Schwarzenegger from Commando. They just made her a incredibly well-trained badass. And I dig that. I dig that they weren't going for bulk or brute. Does that make sense? Like they...
No, I get what you're saying. She was very much elegant, and kind of her style, even as brutal as it was still very kind of feminine, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, she had a very much a way of like just doing things where it's not like and not to down on Atomic Blonde. Atomic Blonde was to me a great action movie as well. Her vibe in Atomic Blonde was so much more aggressive, I feel like, in terms of the way she approached those fighting scenes. And which isn't necessarily bad either. You can see the difference in terms of just the stylization of those fight scenes compared to Villainess. In the Villainess, she's a lot more, her movement's a little bit more fluid.
Yeah.
Whereas in a Blonde,
that stairway fight, you feel Charlize Theron in that stairway fight. You feel it. Yeah.
Yes.
It's an interesting comparison because they're definitely two completely different styles. You have so in Atomic Blonde, it's still very John Wick-esque, I guess. Hand to hand. You know, she didn't use any sambo or anything because Wick does, but it's more just realistic, I guess, grounded. I like what you said though. This one, her movements, she's like a cheetah.
She's like a cat. Like she's like hunting prey basically, and it shows in the way she moves, especially when she's got the knives. You know, when she's using those knives, she's like a cat. Charlize Theron's character, and don't get me wrong, I love the Atomic Blonde. It's a great action movie as well, great stunt work as well. I'm all about. Speaking of which, I'm wearing my stunt shirt when I did some stunt work on the movie. Charlize Theron's character was like so brutal and just so vicious. When she kicked him off my mofo, you like felt that kick, like damn. Yeah. Like there were many moments in that movie when I was watching Atomic Blonde where you go, damn, you have those oh shit moments. And you get the same in this, but it was like, oh damn, how'd she do that? Damn, that was smooth. How she just slapped old boy in the mouth like that. Wow.
Giving people Joker smiles. I mean, she has 2 different rounds of training. She's been trained from her youth, and then she got trained by a shadow agency. So she's basically a double badass, which I really dig. And I guess another thing that I like about this film is this is one of the, I'm not going to say it's the first, but it's one of the kind of first headlined by a female. It's one of the first female-led action films that got a major release. And it was interesting how Kim Ok-bin was really worried about this. She didn't want to be the one to mess it up for future actresses to do this. And I thought it was pretty interesting too, because the director, in all of his interviews, they asked him, they said, hey, how hard was it to get funding for this female-led action film? And he said it wasn't that bad because the budget was $5 million. So it's not an excessive budget. So it's he probably could have made a larger budgeted film with a male star, but he was able to take $5 million and stretch it. I mean, in this film, we have the opening kill where she kills 58 people. Then if you look at the set builds, there's motorcycle chases, there's a bus chase, there's an entire training section with a lot of extras and actors. There's various sets. Now, the middle lags a bit because it starts telling a love story melodrama, but you got to understand this movie can't have 47 bus chases. You have to, every TV show that you watch, they do bottle episodes where they're in a room filming. So I think what they did with this budget is pretty excellent. And I kind of feel like the first person, the way they shot allowed them to make this movie because it was so fluid and quick. But I think that first person action scene in the beginning, they had to do that to keep the budget down. Because you can't have the Villainess killing 58 individual people over a 5-minute action scene. That would cost millions because the choreography, all that.
The CG, you know, especially. So, but the one thing too, and why why that scene, and I definitely think that opening scene, once you see it the second time, you have a better kind of understanding of what's going on. But the thing I think what got me so much about it was when she finally got to that last level, and then the guy grabs her and he like throws her up against the mirror, and then I love that camera pull back. When the camera pans back and then you see everything now in the third person, I guess you could say. You see her fighting everybody and just going through that whole room, and then she gets thrown out the window. She gets thrown out the window, right? Or she jumps out the window?
I think she jumps out of the window because she chokes a guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She chokes him and uses him as a friggin' bungee cord.
Yep.
And jumps out the friggin' like, come on, bro. Like, yes, that for me is why the first time I saw it, I remember seeing the previews. For those who don't know, I used to live in Korea and I watch a lot of Korean television and variety shows and what have you. So I remember I was watching a show and I saw the commercial for it, and I was like, oh, I got to see this. What is this? Man, and then that's when she used old boy's neck for a bungee cord. I was like, oh, yes, I'm there. Let's get it. Let's go.
that was a really kind of neat way to end that bonkers action scene. And I do love that all the